All right, welcome to Elevated Exchange Epic Broadcast. I'm your host, Crystal Grant, and we're here today interviewing Pratibha, VP and BISO of Goldman Sachs. And today we're going to talk a little bit about her experiences in technology, some of the best practices that she would have for leadership, and then we'll kick it off from there. So, Pratibha, thank you for being here today. If you can, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Crystal. Good afternoon, and such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Yeah, let's kind of jump right into it. So currently, I work. I'm divisional technology, heading technology risk for a division within Goldman Sachs, and wow, what an experience! It's been a pivot for me in terms of industry as well as the size. So has been a ride, for the last year or so. My background has been in technology for about 20 years. On the other side, though, delivering and managing the infrastructure and applications, and security happened. I wasn't on a focused security path as such, but going into the audits and the GDPR is really what kicked in for me, and for a mid-sized company, at least back in those days, IT and security were usually combined. And so that has been kind of that began my journey into it as the executive talking to the C-suite, to the board about what controls do we need, why is it important, and then really having an incident that really propelled us onto that journey. So that's really kind of has been my beginning, and never looked back since. And not a I can truly say not a day that is boring, or oh, it's the same thing. There's just so much to learn. I think I'm still just in the beginning.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So, one of the things that I think is awesome that you're doing is, just really leading in the cyberspace. And then, in addition to that, being a woman in the technology field as well. So, what I would ask is, has there been any challenges that maybe you faced being a woman in technology? And if so, how were you able to overcome it?
Um, Pretty loaded question. uh, but as they say, and I truly believe now is challenge is equal to opportunities. Because if there weren't some of those challenges, then there would be no growth, and not really understanding what you're all about. How do you need to what do you need to learn, what do you need to improve upon, and such. So, and I truly mean it when I say that has been such a great opportunity. The first thing is, I mean, there has been and such few number of women in technology, in cybersecurity, right? But we continuously hear about girls in coding, in STEM, in security, and I believe that that's going to change soon. Everything takes time. It's a function of time, and so we will see that number increase significantly. But as far as my experience, it's been understanding truly how do I kind of lay out the idea, what problem are we trying to solve, and instead of just saying something or raising hand, do I have a meaningful, so really going through it step by step, is what do I want to project, and how do I want to, it's the difference between aggressive and assertive, being
Right.
persistent and not really thinking, hey, I'm the only woman in the room, I'm not going to be listened to. And we in general, a lot of women, I think, struggle through either the confidence or the assertiveness, and
Right.
really understanding that it's not about, oh, it is what it is, or it's saying, okay, maybe if this is a factor at play, how do I overcome, and how do I overcome any confidence, any other issues, and how do I still, if as they say, right, if you don't have the seat at the table, pull out a chair, and
Right.
really, again, not being aggressive about it, waiting for your turn, but persistently going about it to say, this is what I would like to do, here's what I would like to say, and doing that in a meaningful way. That has really helped. It's a slow journey, but it's a satisfying one, and you see improvement all around in your life, whether it's personal and professional.
Yeah,
And
that's a really good
every
point.
yeah, every woman has a journey. Actually, Crystal, maybe you have something to add there too. What do you think? You're
Yeah, I
a
mean,
woman
I
who's
think you touched on it, right? Confidence, being assertive, being consistent with what it is that you want, really setting those goals and going after what your goal is. For me personally, I grew up with brothers, so I had to learn very early to be assertive in some of the things that I really wanted, but I had to learn also to not just use it in my personal life, but also use it in my professional life. One of the challenges I had is that I had not transitioned to feeling confident when in a meeting or conference room, feeling like I can speak up and like my voice will be heard, or that my idea would be considered valuable. And one thing that you notice, that I'm sure even you have noticed, with not just being a woman, but just diversity all the way around, is that
yeah
to have diverse thoughts shows like different perspectives, and it adds value to the overall goal, or whatever we're working towards, both
yeah
professionally and personally. So I definitely understand exactly what you're saying as far as having that confidence, being consistent, and assertive in what it is that you want.
yeah.
So I want to pivot just a little bit because you have such a wealth of knowledge and experience. One of the things that I noticed, I'm guilty. I checked you out on LinkedIn. I had to, and I was highly impressed with your background. And one of the things that stood out to me was M&A. M&A meaning merge and acquisitions. And so I've done a few of those in the past with consulting. And what I know is it actually is not as easy as what it sounds, because it's almost like you are having to understand two different environments and figure out a way to bring it together.
Yeah.
So if you can, like, just tell us, like, what are some key areas in an organization that you notice that maybe they need to improve on? Like, what are like some key topics, or key focus areas that a lot of the companies should focus on in their cybersecurity program?
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm sure we can both learn from each other, but well, and thank you for your kind words on the LinkedIn. So yeah, my the company I worked for previously, one of the organizations, they were heavily into M&A. It wasn't like, let's do one, in 5 years and what makes sense. It was, several a year. And so it became apparent and important to have a little bit of a template, a framework, and a playbook that we can quickly leverage. As there's a phase of due diligence, and you quickly need to assess kind of any costs, and before you even go into the actual kind of the detailed deep dives on several areas. The technology is a big piece of that. And some of the, I think some of the focus area that you asked for in terms of due diligence in an M&A, to me, what stood out, of the few is the tone at the top, right? It really makes a difference in because people will find ways, if the tone at the top and the in general the behavior of the people in the organization isn't like, no, this is, these are our processes. We go by the secure processes, and not just that, the education and training piece, that the employees, the awareness that it creates, those are some of the important key areas. And that's not something, that you can quickly measure on a scale, but those conversations, some of those pointed questions of, hey, how often do you do it, even like quickly asking for the policies, whether it's information security policy, or understanding the compliance, and any regulatory pieces, any audits from previous years, any penetration testing that has been conducted. So some of these things can be captured upfront, even before you go ask any questions, to just understand the lay of the land. And then of course, once you establish that, then going into focus areas. I mean, one of the things that's kind of killing a whole lot of organizations in terms of the time it takes, and what do you really have, what do you really need to protect, right, is knowing what you have, knowing the assets and the sprawl and the externally exposed infrastructure and so on. So I think those are, I mean, having that conversation, capturing that information up front, and then going into some of the high level, kind of the sprawl, and the processes questions, should provide a high level view of the posture, before you can go, dig deeper to get really the cost analysis. Because at the end of the day, I think from my experience, you're trying to figure out how much is it going to really cost you to integrate and to establish some of the processes that you would like to have. Essentially it's the number that you're trying to arrive at, and have the most secure environment that you need to and should have.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing about cybersecurity is figuring out how to make it more of a business enablement versus having it to be like the detractor or something that takes away from the overall budget. Having the business really view it as a value add versus, initially I remember when cybersecurity really became a thing in corporations, it was like, not them again,
It's the
like,
cost
oh gosh,
center.
oh, they're trying to prevent me from doing my job or making money or closing this deal. And it's like, you really want security to be included in the beginning, so
Yeah,
then you can save money towards the end. So I think that's a huge thing that I'm starting to see transition,
yeah,
especially with
yeah.
all the things going on, right?
Yeah, no, it's I've had so many jokes with a lot of business people, even today I'm like, yeah, I know, just come to the Department of No. We, but no, it's really those relationships that make a difference. And I've learned through hard lessons, and how important it is to have those relationships with every part of the business, to truly, I mean, you can't sit back and say, well, the business doesn't see us, as a value, and we're the cost center. It's an absolute two-way street, and I would jump up and down to make sure that I go and do my part over and over and over,
Right.
if need be, to make sure that it's not even, I mean, I'm just part. Cybersecurity and information security is totally a part of technology. It's part and
Right.
parcel. There is no separation,
Right.
in terms of, this is needed and this is not.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I like to ask, and I know that we're kind of wrapping up in our session, is, I always like to think of how we pay it forward. How do we, help pull those who are aspiring to be in cybersecurity or cybersecurity leaders? Like, what are some things that, or some advice you would give to someone that is looking to grow in their career? Or just, prepare themselves for the executive role.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and so many different ways of looking at it. Absolutely. I mean, I've had phenomenal mentors, and not everyone was a mentor, but just people from different walks of life. Some that were just new on my team, some that have been there for years and years, and every single person, helped me in a way to shape up whether the career or my thinking. So absolutely, on with paying it forward. I think my 2 cents advice or suggestion would be, again, from what I've learned, the most powerful is get yourself, either trained on or accustomed to a little bit of storytelling,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you're really, you're not going to be able to explain the technical details of what you're doing in certain application to make it secure. If you have that in your business audience, great, nothing like it. But for the most times, you're not, and so that storytelling, I'm still honing that skill. But I think that, to me, has been one of the most critical learnings,
Mhm.
as well as, again, I'll go back to what I said earlier, those relationships of networking outside, understanding that active listening of what is the business trying to do and how are you aligned with that strategy. Because
Right.
I might go into saying, I have these 15 things that I think every organization should absolutely have in terms of information security. Mm-mm. You very well know that it's not a one size fit all, and so
Right.
every organization is going to have a different appetite for risk, and so really understanding that appetite is going to make you really successful in putting a square nail in a square hole, and having a wonderful experience and learning through that journey. So that would be my kind of my suggestion there.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely second that. For me, what advice I probably would give would be the same as relationships. That's something that's very important, whether it's having a mentor or networking. There's several cyber groups out there that you can do meetups and, just rub elbows with others. Go to the
Yep.
different they have different what is it, not festival, conferences, I
Yeah.
would say,
Yeah.
that have different companies there. They have different panel discussions. They have new, vendors there that you can, learn about their company and, just really get out there and network, have a
Yeah.
business card. And so then the others have a way of contacting you,
Yeah.
or join some of the, recordings that's on LinkedIn,
Yeah, or
that.
join Elevate Exchange.
Right. There you go.
Don't look
And
any
in
further.
addition to like just
Yeah,
learning, right? There's so much that you to learn out there when it
yeah,
comes to cybersecurity. One of the things that you said is, it's always something new, right?
yeah,
So there's so many opportunities to learn. There's so many areas that you could focus on, whether it's governance, risk and compliance, or network security, application security. There's so many different areas that there's no reason to be bored. If
that is,
something bores you,
yeah.
find something else, right? But just
I
then
couldn't
stay in
agree more.
security.
When I started in this journey, I had no idea, there were, I mean, it's so wide. It
Right.
really is, and I'm glad I kind of fell in my, I shouldn't say comfort zone, but what I like to do. And so I'm
Hmm.
really happy about that. But yeah, it's wide, so totally. And I would love to understand and work in every piece, to be honest. But yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Relationships and go out, network. I learned so many things just listening to the podcasts of different cyber podcasts out there on LinkedIn, and meeting people, just picking their brain, meeting with different vendors. There's always great new things coming out, and checking out how does that apply to your organization. Yep.
Right. Definitely. Well, Pratibha, I want to thank you for joining us today on Elevated Exchange Epic Broadcast. And I want to thank the audience for getting to know her. We will be back. So have a good day. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you, Elevate Exchange, for having me. It has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Crystal.
Great. Bye for now. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye. Um, hold on.